Hello everyone, this is Anson from AnsonAlex.com, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing two different file storage utilities, both Google Drive and Dropbox, and specifically which one is more beneficial for a business setting. Now, just like most business solutions, it's not quite that simple. It really depends on your situation, but I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each system, and hopefully based on that, you'll be able to figure out which one is best for your particular situation. So I hope it helps and enjoy. Okay, so to get started, I'm at Dropbox.com. And let's just go ahead and let's take a look at what Dropbox is. Some of you may or may not already know that Dropbox is pretty much just a file storage utility. It's a place to store all of your files. So you can see Dropbox tells you that wherever you are, you can have access to all of your documents and you can share those documents with friends. Now, it says right here that everything's automatically private with Dropbox. I will mention that when you do share a link in Dropbox, you're sending a link to somebody and then they have access to your file. They don't have to have a Dropbox account to access that file. So I have a lot of questions about the security of Dropbox. With Google, you can make it so that that person has to have a Google account to see that file. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want that. I don't want my clients to have a Google account to see that file. Well, that's great, but if you're just letting your client see that file without logging in, then you are definitely risking the security of that data, because if that one client can see it without logging in, then anybody can see it without logging in. It might be hard to find, but if somebody's looking hard enough, they can find it. So right off the bat here, I do want to mention that I feel a little bit safer with Google Drive in terms of security. That's kind of my personal opinion based on my experience, but I did want to let you know that. You'll see that Dropbox does say that it is safe and secure, and there are certain things, there are ways to make documents private, but once you start sharing them, you have to be really careful about how you do that with Dropbox, because you can make things pretty public, even though they're not searchable. You'll notice that Dropbox has a specific option for business, as does Google. And in a second here, we're going to look at some of those details of Dropbox specifically for business. But the big advantage to that is you have unlimited storage. Now, do a lot of us need unlimited storage? Not necessarily. Google Drive for Business actually goes up to 16 terabytes of storage, which is a hell of a lot of storage. So I don't think many organizations just looking for a cloud storage utility would need more than 16 terabytes. And if you do, I'm sure you could talk to Google and they would find a way to accommodate you, because you could communicate with their corporate business department. But if you do sign up for the Dropbox specifically for business, it is quite a bit more expensive per user than Google for Business is. And you get a lot more features with Google, which we'll talk about in a second. So let's just quickly shift gears a little bit here and take a look at what Google Drive is right off the bat. So if we kind of head back, I'm just going to refresh this about page here. You know, it kind of says the same thing as Dropbox, one place for all of your stuff. So you can store all of your files in one place. See what the next slide here says. Everywhere you go, you've got your stuff, just like Dropbox. Now, the thing about Google Drive is that it's connected to your Google account. So when you sign up for Google Drive, whether it is the free version or the business version, you have a whole bunch of other stuff that comes along with it, including Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Sites, YouTube, Google+, Picasa, all of these different Google services. With Dropbox, it's pretty much just Dropbox. So you definitely want to think about that. Now let's go ahead and let's shift gears again here, and let's take a look at both of these products specifically for their business purposes. So I'm going to go over here to my next tab I have open, and this basically shows the three different types of Dropbox accounts you can sign up for. The first one is obviously the free Dropbox account, and it starts with 2 gigabytes of storage, quite a bit less than Google Drive, which starts at, I believe, 5. But they might have actually just changed that to be 15. So we'll take a look here in a second. You get more storage with Google Drive, I'll tell you that much. Now, if you sign up for Dropbox Pro, you get an additional amount of storage. You get 100 gigabytes of storage instead of 2, and that is $99 per user per year. So there is a price associated with that. You can also pay $10 a month for that instead of paying the yearly fee, and that comes out to about $120 per year if you do the math on that. Now, again, that is quite a bit more expensive than Google Drive. And if we look down here at some of the more options you get with this Pro version, is you get some file recovery. So if something happens, you delete a file, and all of a sudden 6 months down the road you realize, hey, I needed that file, you could go ahead and you could contact Dropbox to have that recovered. So that's definitely something that most business users are definitely going to want to take advantage of. Now, when we talk about this Dropbox for Business option over here, you can see Dropbox has kind of highlighted in blue. As I'm in the business section here, I'm at dropbox.com/business/pricing. You'll notice that it's $795 a year for 5 users. And that kind of makes you think about it for a second, because you say, well, how much is that really? And I actually did the math on that. If you divide 795 by 5, and then you divide it by 12 for 12 months in a year, it's actually $13.25 a month, which is quite a bit more than the $5 per month per user that Google Drive is. We're talking 3 times as much money for Dropbox for Business, and you don't get email, you don't get sites, you don't get calendar, you don't get any of the other services that come along with Google. So that's definitely something to think about. Now, there is one big advantage to Dropbox for Business, which I'm going to discuss here in a few minutes. But if you're just looking at pure pricing and you're going to go with either Google Apps for Business or Dropbox for Business, Google Apps is going to give you a lot more functionality at a much lower cost. So in that sense, it's almost a no-brainer. Now, you'll notice that Dropbox for Business, we definitely have a lot more features. We have all the security that we need. We can prevent sharing for certain users. So if you have a sales team and you are afraid they might share it with people they shouldn't, you can actually limit that sharing. You can take a look at who's logging into Dropbox. You can easily add and remove users, all of that sort of thing. And then you have some support that's associated with Dropbox as well. But again, it's just a file storage utility. You're not getting any of the other features. So let's go ahead and let's quickly take a look at what Google Apps for Business offers. You can see right off the bat, when we go to the Google Apps for Business page, we can see that we get Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Docs, Hangouts, which is like video chat, that sort of thing. Google Sites, Google Vault, that would be email retention. It basically stores an archive of your emails for auditing purposes and that sort of thing. And then you get all the other services that Google owns as well. So you get a whole bunch of stuff. Now, specifically with Drive, there's another big advantage, and I'm just going to scroll down here to the Google Drive section. So you can see that you can access your files from anywhere. That, we've already talked about that, but where it really gets pretty cool, for lack of a better term, is when you actually talk about creating documents within Google Drive. So if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you know I do a lot of tutorials on all of the Google apps, and I pretty much use Google Docs for all of my word processing. I don't really use Microsoft Office anymore. And obviously, there's pros and cons to doing that, but it really makes things a lot easier for me. I don't need to think about, do I have this file on my computer? Do I need to bring my computer with me? I know no matter which client I go to see, no matter where I am in the world, I have access to every single one of my documents, and I can actually compose and edit it, because with Google Drive, you can edit all of your documents online. You don't have to have a Microsoft Office or anything like that. If you're interested in learning more about that, I would definitely recommend checking out my 4-part video series on using Google Drive here in 2013. I'll actually even link that in the description of this video here on YouTube. But there definitely is a lot more functionality to Google Drive in terms of creating documents and that sort of thing. Now, I did mention, and while I talk about this, I am just going to go to a different tab I have open here. I actually have a Dropbox account open, and I have a Google Drive account open here, just so you can kind of see what the user interface looks like. So you can see they are kind of similar. In the middle here, you've got your list of your folders and your documents. So I've got some PDFs here. I've got some folders. If I go over to Google Drive, you can see I've got some folders here as well. I've got a JPEG, a Word document, and then I've got a Google spreadsheet here. I actually do kind of like how Dropbox shows you slightly more of a preview than Google Drive. I use both of these systems, and I use them for different things. Most of my document composition, that type of stuff, I do in Google Drive. However, when it comes to sharing videos and pictures and even, PDFs I use Google Drive for as well, but for some reason, when it comes to sharing videos and that sort of thing, I like Dropbox. I don't know why. You can do it in Google Drive, but because Google Drive started out as Google Docs, to me, its main purpose is for document composition. So I can go up here to the top left and I can create my documents right here in Google Drive. However, when I want to share 30 videos with a client, if they don't have an FTP server, I'd rather just create a Dropbox folder and throw all of my videos into that folder. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the preview. I don't know specifically. It's just kind of a preference that I have. Okay, so you can see kind of the difference here. Obviously, One thing that Google Drive does really well is there's so many ways to find your files. So you can see I can search up here at the top, and the search is very, very powerful here in Google Drive. Definitely more powerful than in Dropbox. But I also have all these other options over here on the left where I can sort my documents. I can just look at PDFs. I can just look at images, just look at files that are private, just ones that are shared with me, opened by me. So I really have a lot of power in terms of filtering through my views here in Google Drive. In Dropbox, we pretty much have this search up here at the top, and then you've got your folder hierarchy over here to the left. I can click back to go to Dropbox, but you can see I'm even in, here's my main Dropbox. So if I were to go in a folder, say Anson Alex here, you'll notice that, and if I go in another one, you'll notice that the folder structure is listed up here at the top. So that's a way that I can navigate backwards, but I don't have my whole structure over here on the left where you can see in Google Drive. If I look into my drive, I can drop down these folders. If I put shared within the test folder, I can drop down test folder, so I can always see this structure over here on the left, which I really like that in Google Drive, but we don't have that in Dropbox. Okay, so one last thing that I want to mention, because I mentioned that I would talk about this, and that is, what is the advantage of Dropbox? At this point, it seems like there really isn't an advantage to Dropbox, and to be honest, there aren't too many, but one of them is definitely that more people are comfortable with it. So if you are already happy with your email service, you're already happy with your calendar service, and you're just looking for a way to store some files, to share them with clients and maybe between some of your departments, you might want to think about using Dropbox. And you don't even need to sign up for the full business account. You might be okay with just doing the Dropbox Pro account. Okay, $99 per user per year. You're definitely going to save a couple $100 there than if you were to sign up for Dropbox for Business. That's up to you. But when you start sharing files with clients, if you're using Dropbox, generally speaking, a lot of people have used Dropbox before, so they're going to be pretty comfortable going in and accessing those files. If you choose to use Google Drive, you're going to probably have to teach some of your clients and maybe some of your employees a little bit more. There's going to be a slightly higher learning curve just because less people have been using Google Drive. Now, at the same time, if you are the type of organization, you're a small company, you're sick of your email being disjointed from your calendar, which is disjointed from your file storage, and you really are looking for a solution that can connect all of those pieces, and you're not afraid of learning something new and training your employees and kind of having to put a little bit more effort into getting everything started, then Google Drive might be a really, really good option for you. And I actually have a video series for companies that are thinking about migrating to Google Drive and just some of the considerations that they need to take a look at before deciding to do that, and just some of the challenges that they might face along the way. So I'll also link that video in the description of this one here on YouTube. But I know it's a big question, Dropbox or Google Drive, and if you're just looking for something simple that you can do really quick and isn't a big learning curve, I would probably start with Dropbox. But if you're willing to spend a little extra time and you want all of the more features, and to be honest, if you want to save some money as well, Google Drive is definitely the option. It wins my vote for a better service to use when we're talking about business file storage, collaboration, and communication. So I'm definitely interested to hear what all of you think. If you have your own experiences, comments, questions, feedback, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below here on YouTube. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate a thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you want to see more technology tips and tutorials, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That's all I have for you today. This is Anson from AnsonAlex.com.